All right, and we are back in. Sorry about being a little late, and like it says in the description for the stream, I'm planning on this being honestly quite a bit shorter than my normal stream, just because it's been like a long week, very tiring week, lots of like work drama, lots of family drama, just so I want to kind of take it easy today. I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, I kind of didn't feel like streaming, but I really wanted to check out the new chapter of One Piece. I mean that's one thing I'm always looking forward to, and I want to make sure that I capture my reaction live. Although I am like little bit spoiled, not as bad as last time, but I've got just a bit of an inkling as to what this next chapter is going to be about. But I thought before getting started, I would check out this this video. I've checked it out once before, but I wanted to just get it on stream and talk about it a little bit. This one right here from Rev. I check out his content pretty frequently. He's a well-spoken guy, a very eloquent guy, and he talks about stuff that interests me usually. And he's talking about the recent Lollipop Chainsaw remaster, and that was a game that my friend Jaron showed to me. I think he's in the chat right now. And I mean, this is a little embarrassing to admit, but hold on a sec. I don't have a good view. Oh, where did my chat's supposed to be on OBS, but I don't see the window anymore. Where'd it go? View. Yeah, where's my chat? Like, I can see it in the like YouTube like window, but that sucks. I want to see it in OBS. Whatever, I guess I'll just blow this up.
So 2 days ago, we got the official release of Lollipop Chainsaw Repop, which is a remaster of the cult classic that was released about 10 years ago, and it's been received very well. Now, if you look at the numbers, it's gotten a very good amount of support, despite the fact that I think this game has not gotten a lot of promotion, especially in the West, but it's already outpacing games like Concord, which had an infinitely higher budget and amount of exposure, especially from games journalists. And in terms of Lollipop Chainsaw Repop, they've gotten no coverage from games journalists, so this is a pretty impressive
Yeah, that's
number.
wild.
But
right
while
there.
We're here and talking about this game,
It's like a big AAA game like Concord getting blown out by a remaster of an old game like this.
Crazy claims like this, saying the idea of Lollipop Chainsaw being for men is crazy because I don't know too many cis straight men who would say, yes, this is my aesthetic.
Does that not sound wild? Like, I don't know too many cis straight men who would say, yes, this is my... What? This ain't our aesthetic? This isn't our aesthetic? This isn't our aesthetic? Like, what's this person actually trying to say? Like what? Is it because it's got rainbows in it? Like, be honest with me here. Like, who doesn't like rainbows? Who sees a rainbow as like, ew, gross, no. I don't get it. I don't. Thankfully, Rev is going to show something in a little bit that I think will help us understand the mindset behind a post like this.
a very unhinged tweet because think about this. Cis straight men not liking a game focused on a busty blonde cheerleader. Like, what is going on? There's a complete disconnect from reality here. And on top of that, I think this is the best response to this tweet.
And it's coming from, it's hard to see because, YouTube does the dumb thing where when you pause it, like, the screen gets covered up full of crap. But it's coming from Joe Beautiful. So already I know I'm going to like what this guy's about to say.
Aged very well.
And Rev, he just gives like an overview of this, but I'm going to go ahead and read it here. The autogynophiliac equivalent of the breakfast question is their struggle to distinguish self-identity from external images, so they fail to understand that the image is meant for the entertainment of the audience and not for them to identify as. Big brain. Big brain. I knew Beautiful Joe didn't have that big head for nothing. Like, just in case you're not familiar with the concept of the breakfast question, let me try and find that, because I didn't know what that was either. I found it on, I think it was the Know Your Meme. That's what it's called. I was going to call it the meme machine or the meme database or whatever. And it shows this this image right here. Taken from 4chan. Somebody talking about how they did IQ. Excuse me. Bit of that fried chicken. IQ research as grad students involved in a lot of this stuff. Most people, 95% or more, with less than 90 IQ can't understand conditional hypotheticals. For example, how would you have felt yesterday evening if you hadn't eaten breakfast or lunch? What do you mean? I did eat breakfast and lunch. Yes, but if you had not, how would you have felt? Why are you saying that I didn't eat breakfast? I just told you that I did. Imagine if you hadn't eaten it, though. How would you have felt? I don't understand the question. It's really fascinating. We did research on convicts in San Quentin. They're absolutes, and I'm willing to bet that was like a big old gamer word right there, whatever. At least 50% illiterate. Every single incarcerated person was... Okay, we're not going to get into all that. But, I mean, that's the breakfast question in a nutshell. The idea that it's almost a sort of IQ test, if you can understand conditional hypotheticals. And so this person, Beautiful Joe, is bringing up, I think, a very interesting point. He's addressing a very strange mindset that is out there, and what I consider to be kind of a dangerous mindset. The idea that you cannot empathize or sympathize with a person or a character or a story unless they are like you in some way, whether they look like you, sound like you, act like you, think like you. And I just don't get it. It's something I've been thinking about for a while, and I guess just this one little moment kind of crystallizes it. Is like where's your sense of empathy? Why can't you like sympathize with someone unless they're like you? Like, there's so many different stories out there, you know? Awesome stories that deserve to be told, and I would never like just turn my nose up at because the main character is not like me or whatever. I don't get it. I mean, I'm nothing like Samurai Jack, but I think that's an epic story. Or The Last Airbender. Just so many stories out there. And I mean, when I look at stories like that, like The Last Airbender, the whole cast is like Asian coded, but I don't look at that and I think to myself, oh, that's a story for only Asians. Only Asians can understand or appreciate or relate to that story, because it's a cast of Asian coded characters. Like, I just don't agree with it. And yeah, what I was gonna say earlier about Lollipop Chainsaw, and this is embarrassing to admit, is after playing No More Heroes, Heroes Paradise, I was so disappointed that in sheer bitterness, I traded in all of my Grasshopper games, even Killer is Dead, which I liked, just because I was so, like, I just felt slighted. And people say that game's a classic. I don't know what happened. I just didn't have that experience. Maybe I can only hope that the copy of that game that I got was bugged, because it was just wild. I got to the third boss, and already I wasn't having a great time with the game because it's got a lot of grinding, and the controls, they don't really gel with me. But once I got to the third boss, oh my gosh, the game just seemed to break down. Third boss is Shinobu, and I depleted her health. Her health was at 0. And then the boss, for whatever reason, the boss fight continued. She kept fighting back as if nothing was wrong. And so I kept hitting her, even though her health was already at 0. I mean, what else was I supposed to really... Like, what do you do? Her health is at 0. The boss fight's just supposed to be over. So I kept hitting her to no avail. I tried throwing her, no avail. I tried doing finishes on her, nothing, no avail. And so eventually I would just get frustrated and I would slip up, and then she would hit me with like her instant kill attack, and then the fight would be over. And I went through that song and dance, I don't know, like 2 or 3 or 4 times before I just gave up and decided that game wasn't for me. I could not figure it out for the life of me. Her health bar was empty. I had done enough damage to her to deplete it many times over, and like there was no progress. So I just gave up, and I wasn't really having that much fun with the game up to that point. Hold on a second, my feet are falling asleep. Was there a story thing involved? No, there really wasn't. I don't get it. And you know, I watched other people play it. You know that Matt from Super Best Friends Play, he's a huge fan of that. I watched his little playthrough of it, and he just breezed right through it. There was nothing wrong. He depleted her health to 0, and that was it. So I don't exactly remember which version he played. I think he also played Heroes Paradise, you know, for PS3. I know it's supposed to be a little different from the version for the Wii, but it was just so frustrating that I just didn't want to play Grasshopper games anymore. Looking back now, I can see that was a stupid thing, because I kind of want to go back. I'm interested to see what this remaster has in store. Because there hasn't been any drama about it. Like, I was just watching another video earlier about the Dragon Quest III remaster and how it's a huge disaster because it's all censored and stuff. And Lollipop Chainsaw, I mean, it's no secret that game's just a tad raunchy. I mean, you saw the character design. And so with remasters of games like that, or most games really, I mean, unless they're like little kiddie games, I mean, a lot of games have some small modicum of sexual content to them. There's always the concern that it's going to be censored. And that guy, Rev, he covers a lot of this, like, he covers a lot of that kind of drama where you know stuff is censored or altered to like appeal to a certain like very anti-sexual demographic. But if there's been no drama surrounding this remaster, then I'm led to believe that it's A-okay. Like, they didn't like heavily alter it, and so maybe I want to take another crack at that. It does make me a little nervous. I'm always nervous when I hear that a game has a bad ending. And like, I know it's supposed to be, I know the bad ending is supposed to be hard to get in Lollipop Chainsaw. I know that you'd have to be a pretty big screw up, and I think that's also the case with Zone of the Enders. But like, just that little thought in the back of my mind that I might get the bad ending, it makes me nervous. You bought the Capcom Fighting Collection. How is it? I mean, they announced those two collections almost like back to back. Pretty impressive. I mean, it looks impressive. I still remember being a little kid and going to the local bowling alley, and tucked away in the corner was an MVC2 cabinet. Really good. Glad to hear. You have to try to get the bad ending in Zone of the Enders. Yeah, it's been a while since we played that, so I don't remember all the details. I picked up the... Where is it? I think I got the HD collection buried down here somewhere. But, I should... Yeah, here we go. Zone of the Enders HD collection, and I'm not gonna... Oh, I should cover up these stickers. There might be a risk of like getting geolocated based on these stickers here, but yeah, it's 1 and 2. Includes demo of Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. I don't know why I didn't notice that before. That's interesting. I gotta check that out. See if it's any different, because demos can be quirky that way. Basically, you have to make sure 0 people survive in all the SOS missions. I did try playing that a little bit after you showed it off to me, and I played the HD collection where the controls were a little bit better, but I don't know, for whatever reason I just didn't stick to it. I should really give it another shot though, because I absolutely love the aesthetic of the Zoe games. I should do that on stream once I get my my console gaming setup more refined. That was your first time playing Revengeance? Do you remember if it's any different in the demo? I got your shirt, by the way. I got your shirt on, the one that you gave me like it must have been 2 years ago now. It served me well. I like wearing it with my purple pants. I always just skip 1 and go to 2. 2 is just the best. But Zoe 1's got the space dam. You remember? It's your chance to do your dance at the space dam. It's not really all that different. Well, I remember when Super Best Friends like mockingly did their like episode 0 of Revengeance. The opening screen looks slightly different. It's a great shirt. Yeah, thanks, man. I'm loving it. Too bad that Itsuno's not around though, but I mean, I'm part of a Devil May Cry group on Facebook, and the demo starts with level 2 when you fight Blade Wolf. It's starting with Blade Wolf. Talk about a crash course on parrying. You know, it's hard to admit, but where you fight Blade Wolf? Wait, do you not fight Blade Wolf in that area? It's a little embarrassing to admit, but oh, my streamer lighting is kind of crooked. I learned how to parry in that game from Angry Joe, where he explained that you can just like flick the stick and mash the light attack button, and that usually works. And that's how I learned how to parry in that game. I mean, I was kind of figuring it out on my own, but Angry Joe helped me like perfect it. And I mean, obviously I got issues with the guy when like he doesn't. I'll probably always hold this against him when he says they didn't like Scott Pilgrim, but he says that Suicide Squad is, quote, an awesome effing movie. Like, nah, man. Nah, that's weak. You fight Blade Wolf at the end. Wait, so you don't fight him where you fight him in the normal game? That's weird, because that environment is so tailor-made for that fight, where he like Blade Wolf jumps up to like a high area where you can't fight him, and then bad guys filter in. Yeah, and then there was that time Angry Joe tried to like interview, I don't remember the guy's name, the guy who was in charge of like the video game awards, and he just embarrassed himself. That was rough too. I also checked out his Devil May Cry 5 review, just because Devil May Cry 5 hype was at an all-time high at that point, and I was just ravenous for Devil May Cry 5 content. Keeley, that was rough. But I watched his review of it, and he was getting D ranks when I didn't even know you could get D ranks in that game. I didn't think it was possible, and so it prompted me to like go into Devil May Cry forums and be like, can you, how do I put this? Can you review a game objectively while also being really, really terrible at it? You can dude, I hate to admit this, but I have, on exactly one occasion, taken a D rank in a Devil May Cry game. Devil May Cry 5 specifically. When I was playing Virgil and I was up against Needhog. I forget which difficulty it was. I think it might have been hard or Dante Must Die or whatever. But like I was just so done with that boss fight. Like I think fighting Needhog as Virgil is like just about as unfun as that game gets. That was a serious low point, and so I was just trying to get it over with. I didn't even care how unstylish it was anymore. I just wanted to get through it. I really should take another crack at that, but golly. That boss fight is very clearly tailor-made for V, and trying to get through it as Virgil was like pulling teeth. That was the only time, I think, ever that I took a D rank. Maybe there was one other time when I was coming back to Devil May Cry 4 after a long time, and I didn't remember how the fight against the Savior worked, and so it was just really clunky trying to get back into the groove, and I might have taken like a C or a D rank then, but like that was it. That was just me being like really rusty. But yeah, I don't think it's as embarrassing as the one time John Tron said, like, this is a long time ago, so I mean, I don't mean to open up old wounds, but like like way back, one of JonTron's oldest videos was like, I don't even remember what the title of the video was. It was just like, he was just talking about video games that he didn't like, and one of them was Devil May Cry 3. I want to see if I can find it. Because I'm pretty sure it's not on his channel anymore. I think he, like, disavowed that video, which I think is about as much as you can expect, like as close as you'll get to just like a straight up apology. But like JonTron lost videos, removed JonTron episodes. It was probably this. It was probably top 10 most overrated games. No, pause. So yeah, this is on the JonTron archive, and man, it's been a while since I've seen this. A lot of these I don't even recognize. He's got Sonic the Hedgehog on there. He's got Final Fantasy VIII. Really? Final Fantasy VIII? This, well, I mean, it's the archive, so this was posted in 2014. But, like, I don't know. I thought at this point we were kind of all on the spoony bandwagon. The Final Fantasy VIII sucked. I thought it sucked. I mean, you and I are almost certainly going to play it together at some point, and you'll get to see the whole thing in action. But I actually thought Spoony might have been a little bit too soft on that game, because it's got some really just quirked out, like, game mechanic, like game design things to it. Where? No, is it not in this video? Final Fantasy VIII, Sonic, Fallout. I'm sorry to do this to JonTron. I mean, like, he's a funny guy and he would probably hate that I'm, like, digging up all this old crap, but I mean, it happened. I'm not going to pretend like it didn't happen. Six horrible boss battles. I think that was one where he complained about a Final Fantasy VIII boss being too hard, which is like, oof. Like, Final Fantasy VIII is about as easy as an RPG gets without going into straight up, like, Pokemon territory. Final Fantasy VIII has its fans, but I was never into 8. Final Fantasy VIII has its moments, you know? It's like Ultraviolet, where there are, like, little kernels of cool sci-fi concepts seeded into just, like, a really crappy story. Top 5 things that ruin a game's immersion. I am almost... Okay, guys. I'm certain that this is the video where he talks, like, mega smack about Devil May Cry 3. And it's obvious that he's changed his mind since then. Like, I'm pretty sure there's another point where he talks mad hype about Devil May Cry 3. But there was just this one... This one time when he took an L. Where? This one does have a funny intro, but I am just trying to find the part where he talks smack about, like, Devil May Cry 3. And I'm having such an awesomely tough time, like, finding it. He talks about loading screens. Man. You know, you take it for granted, but we don't really have a lot of loading screens in video games anymore, do we? He talks about, like, long cutscenes I have a surprising tolerance for like super long cutscenes. Um, like I mean, I didn't even really mind the opening to Okami, and people talk about how that game has like an infamous opening cutscene. Top 20. It's crazy to see the like I have so much trouble with this word. Trajectory. You know what the worst loading screens are? I'm sorry to like interrupt myself, but just talking about loading screens, it reminds me the absolute worst loading screens to me are uh, the mid-level loading screens in We Love Katamari. That's rough. Because to me, that is like, other than that, that is a 10 out of 10 game. That is the best. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. That is the best game I have ever played. In terms of like being well rounded, no pun intended, in terms of accomplishing what it sets out to do, and then also like coming up with cool little. Like it has a single core gameplay mechanic, and then it comes up with little twists on that core gameplay mechanic so that it all feels coherent but also has variety to it. And the style is off the charts. Even the story is good, and that might sound like I'm joking, but I genuinely enjoyed the story in We Love Katamari, even though it's very simple and straightforward. It was at least like emotionally effective. Really, the one sticking point was okay. No, that's not even true. Two sticking points. One of the sticking points is the campfire level, because that is the bane of my existence. I hate that level. It is so awful. It just doesn't feel like there's any way to get over in that level. Like you always feel like you're just barely making it by the skin of your teeth, just trying to find anything to keep the fire going before it goes out. It's tough. I feel like that level requires a lot of trial and error, where eventually you just know the level and you've planned your route out almost perfectly, and even then it does not feel good. But the loading screens, like it's Katamari Damacy. You are literally and figuratively on a roll, and then a loading screen comes crashing in and just totally, like you say, it interrupts the flow. So why I'm really interested in checking out the remaster that they came up with for the Switch, because I'm of the assumption that they got rid of those mid-level loading screens. If they did that, then that game is even more close to being perfect than it already was. If they got rid of the mid-level loading screens, and then they also rebalanced the campfire level, perfect. Actually perfect. But I mean, I know I'm just wishing on a star there. I don't know why I can't find this one video. Because it's like the one thing, like, I just can't forget. Like, the way that... Like, the way that people reacted to, like, John, like, flubbing that weird political debate. Which, I don't know what people expect from John. He's a freaking comedian. But then, I guess he should have known that he was getting in over his head. He really should have said no to that debate in the first place. Yeah, the remaster of We Love Katamari on the Switch. I don't have a Switch, but I mean, I really should invest in one. But then again, I've barely played anything on some of the consoles I have right now. Like I've barely tapped into the Wii U that I got at all. I just got it because that was the That was the time when the eShop was shutting down, and I was trying to scrounge for as much Nintendo stuff as I could. I should check other resources, because there's more than one JonTron archive. There's JonTron archive and there's JonTron lost videos. There's one that's just called My Statement JonTron from 7 years ago. I think that might pertain to that infamous debate where he like disappeared for a long ass time. Yo, it's but I don't know. I've fallen out of love with PlayStation consoles now. Like Sony is such a crap company now that I struggle to support them. But then you could say that about almost like, no, you really could say that about like every company that's currently like in the console game. Like they've all done something to tick me off. And no, this is just top 10 overrated games again. It's $10 until wow. That is a low price for what I would consider to be one of the best games ever. Definitely the best game that I played. A Steam release, yeah. I could so go for a Steam release. I gotta, as long as I'm not listening to something, I should really take off these. And I didn't even fix my hair. I don't even have my contacts in. I'm just really schlubby. I'm in a schlubby mood today. Yeah, there was the interview, and then he like disappeared for almost an entire year. I think he was gone for like 11 months. Oh my gosh. So sale goes back to $30 after that date. $30 isn't even that bad. But I spotted a real gem. I'm gonna check this out on my own time, but look at this. Apparently this person has managed to find like old JonTron videos. Like, look at that. It looks like a little kid. Yeah, it's a long time. JonTron used to be like that. He used to, like, his uploads were really sporadic. They still kind of are, but there was a time when it was really bad. A couple times. He kind of goes through seasons. Like when he was part of here's an idea for you. Game Crumps. When he was part of Game Grumps, he wasn't able to concentrate on a solo channel almost at all. And then he came back for a while, and then he was pretty steady until the interview, and then it was kind of spotty again. It's like Walk by Foo Fighters. Learning to walk again. Getting good at starting over every time that I return. That's wild. I thought for sure I was onto the exact video where he said that Devil May Cry 3 sucked. But maybe I'm just trying too hard. I don't know. There was also the video that I had already shown to you about the guy totally blowing up all those Concord designs. Talked about it a little bit earlier. But this guy is like just like I said to you, like the ultimate roast master.
Hey everyone, this is Critical Art 64, and today I'm going to redesign some characters from the mega flop Concord, a game with character designs so dull and...
See, hold on a second. I want to roll this back, because when I was saying to you, like, not all Concord character designs are bad, like, when I look at, and I don't even have it pulled up, when I look at this one right here, like, this ain't that bad. It's a little unpolished. I feel like maybe the face could use a little tweaking, but I feel like, yeah, like they're onto something here, you know? Or this guy over here, he almost looks like I don't know, an outtake from like a failed previous attempt at a Battle Angel movie, you know? If they just made his shoulders a little broader, that guy on the far left, he'd be okay, I feel. But then you got like this lady who's got, she just looks like she's got her head stuck in some Tupperware. Like, that's rough. That's like when you're a little kid and you go into the kitchen and you find like a plastic like popcorn bowl and you put it in your hand like, boom, I'm an astronaut. Look at me, mommy, I'm an astronaut. And then there's just the weird like squiggly like you're almost onto something with this color scheme with the orange and then the turquoise, but then you've got like beige squiggly, it looks like uncooked sausage. And that's really what I was talking about with you last time, was like weird squiggly bulging forms on characters. Like if we can just like fast forward to like this character and you look at what's going on with like their shoulders. Like now that's looking like ground beef, like how it looks kind of all squiggly. Like, what is with the aesthetic of this game? It's rough, but I absolutely love the way he roasts these characters. That's right.
It sort of looks like if Thugnificent from the Boondocks had an aunt who hunts Blackulas.
Oh man, if only I had been on stream when I watched this for the first time.
Like, she looks kind of mannish,
like this absolutely split my sides.
She's in fact based on a transvestite singer. You can go ahead and look that up. You know, and her weapon is knives, so she throws knives and does like flippy doos. Nothing about her design suggests that.
Like, more than the weird textures on her shoulders, the thing that trips me out about her design is the fact that, like, most of the jacket it has almost no texture. It's just like a big, just a big shape. That's what it is. It's just a big fat shape. And he tackles this character design, and you know, this character design is.
She sort of looks like if the guy who made Hamilton made a stage play about the Ninja Turtles and casted Lizzo, or if the Juggernaut is the red M&M, she's the green one.
Like this one, I think is better than Baz. Like, at least this communicates what the character is about, right? But like, what is with the goofy proportions and like, or like the blue lipstick just like completely distracting you and throwing off the color composition? Sal Ren Cadillac Man. Hold on a second. Alright, hold on. I gotta look that up. Sal Ren. Oh, from like Dynasty Warriors. But see, now I can't remember which Dynasty Warriors we played, so I don't remember which version of him I'm supposed to be looking at. From 7, got it. Wow. No, it's being silly. It's still showing me all different. Okay, I think this is it. Is this what I'm supposed to be looking at? This guy right here? Because, I mean, man. Nate called him Cadillac Man back in college. That's been his name to me ever since. I will never be as big a fan of Dynasty Warriors as you. But, like, I gotta confess that I can see how they've polished the character designs over time. They've gotten really solid. And now because of like watching you play it, their versions from 7 are like the definitive versions of those characters to me. This, and you know what else this character design is missing? It's missing, like, she's got to have... No, because she does have, like, little bits of pink way down here, but they're so easy to miss. She needs a little bit more going on, and she needs more regular proportions. Like, he wasn't kidding when he, like, compared her to a Ninja Turtle. That's tough. Although, to me, like, this is a bit of an overcorrection when he goes to redesign her and she looks like this. It does not... She didn't give me the same energy. Like, that's a little bit too radical of a redesign to me. Although, later, when he chooses up this character... This, man... I think this might be the worst. Like, Baz is rough, Asami's rough, but what is this? Like, it's like they're fat, but they're not fat at the same time. Like, it just looks like a regular person wearing a really bad fat suit. Or like, because you look at their face, and they're kind of fat, but then you got all this going on. Yeah, it doesn't look like a tank character. It looks more like more of an aggro, like almost more like a DPS character. Yeah, this is bad, and this is just, I don't know, it's just confusing to me. It goes against what I would consider to be like the basics of the basics when it comes to character design. I don't even know really remember where I learned this because it was so long ago. But like, when you've got a character with a big body, you want to accentuate it with tight clothes, not baggy clothes. That doesn't make any sense. Like, whether a character is really ripped or if they're really, you know, like me. You want to put them in tighter clothes to, like, draw attention to their, like, distinctive figure. And if you've got a skinny character and you want to accentuate how skinny they are, then that's when you put them in baggy clothes. This does not make any sense to me. why you make a character fat and then put them in like a big baggy puffy jacket to make them look even fatter. But then you look at their face and they look like they're only kind of fat, like they're only kind of overweight. It doesn't look right. It does not look right. And then he goes on to like, he compares it to Deadlock, which I guess is another recent like hero shooter type game, and I'm not necessarily blown away by these character designs at all, except for Haze. Haze looks cool. Infernus looks cool. Seven looks cool. He looks like some sort of weird like almost like, I don't want to say steampunk, not quite, but almost more like, I don't know, like Atom Punk type samurai. And those are the standout designs to me, but I mean, golly, I would take even the worst character design from this screen over like 99% of what Concord has to offer. Diesel Punk, yeah. See, that was weird. Like, I thought I knew what Diesel Punk was. But then I watched, if I can find it. LJ. Yeah, LJ's channel right here. He did the big every music genre explained series, which was a lot of fun. I've watched, you can't see it now because it's been so long, but I've watched all of these different installments in his big every music genre explained playlist. But then he also does every aesthetic explained, and that's actually something I kind of like to do with you on stream, because I think that'd be fun to watch that together with you, seeing him talk about all these crazy aesthetics. But at one point he talks about Diesel Punk, and let me see if I fire it up. Is there like a... Yeah, there's a comment that gives us timestamps. And he talks about Vaporwave. Like, I'm not freaking sick of Vaporwave already. Like, Vaporwave has been like flanderized to the point that it is like a parody of whatever 80s aesthetic it was trying to emulate in its inception. Diesel Punk. Plant Mom. My next door neighbor's a plant mom. Hot Topic. He talks about weird stuff, like straight up. There's weird core right there. He talks about Atom Punk. Man, where's Diesel? It would help if this was like Diesel Punk. There it is.
Alright, next up we have Diesel Punk, and Diesel Punk is a genre similar to steampunk that combines the Tier 2 industrial technology and aesthetics of the diesel-based technology of the interwar period of the 1910s and 1940s with retro-futuristic technology that doesn't actually need diesel despite the name. And Diesel Punk fashion is in a lot of ways similar to steampunk fashion, but with a darker color palette to choose from. And some popular items include waistcoats, arm covers, bomber jackets, zoot suits, wristwatches, goggles, overalls, and basically anything that would have been worn during the interwar period that Diesel Punk is designed to emulate. Alright, next up we have...
See, that contrasts with my initial misconception of Diesel Punk, because I always thought of Final Fantasy VII as a very Diesel Punk game. You know how that how the cars in that game, they're like very heavy. They're heavy and they're all like covered with rivets, and like the chassis are very unrefined. Like I think of that as Diesel Punk. Like everything about that game. Well, not everything, but generally, Final Fantasy VII strikes me as being very like very 1960s influenced, where there's like bulky, emissions heavy technology. The like an unpopular war in the East. There's like growing concerns of hyper capitalism. It's like I don't know how to put it, like hyper capitalism versus like eco-ism, like, you know how Avalanche, they're like eco-terrorists. Or how in Final Fantasy VII, space travel is still a very novel idea. It's only in the beginning stages. The two little wrinkles to that make it distinct would be the robots. And robots are not even like they're not a focal point in the lore. They're mostly just grunts, and they're pretty weak grunts at that. The strongest robot in the entire setting, as you remember, certainly we played that game together, was the carry armor, which is more of like an industrial implement that was that served as sort of an improvised defensive measure. Like that was a machine that was already in this loading area, and the Turks take over and they sick it against you, and like maybe they bolted on a bit of a laser weapon for security purposes. And then the other thing is like the eugenics. That's not very Diesel Punk, but that is the one little thing they add to make it distinct, and it's central to like all of the themes of Final Fantasy VII regarding identity and all that. But mostly I thought of that as Diesel Punk. But then you see what LJ shows in this video, and it almost feels more like Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow type stuff. I remember that one weapon that kept running away, and that pissed me off. Yeah, the ultimate weapon. Like, even I, someone who has played Final Fantasy VII, just like, it must have been at least 24 times by now. Even I do not have a firm grip on how to best handle that part of the game where ultimate weapon runs away from you. It genuinely seems random, and there are times when he can just give you the slip, and it will take me minutes to try and find him again. Maybe even tens of minutes. He just seems to disappear, and it's really frustrating. That wasn't great, but I remember when we played that together, Carry Armor like gave you a hard time, and I have actually found out like new ways to fight him. Apparently, it's easy enough to just like use Magic Hammer to deplete all his MP to where he's a non-threat. Like he can't even use his big laser weapon anymore. But I would still consider the Carry Armor to be a pretty massive difficulty spike. Especially considering most of FF7 is super, super easy. Yeah, coward bastard. And I guess it's not fair for me to say that. Like, I'm very familiar with FF7, so obviously it's a lot easier when you know exactly what you're doing, when you know how to set up like really epic like materia combos, and you know what materia to prioritize when it comes to like leveling stuff up. That can break the game wide open. Like your experience. Hold on a sec. your experience with Final Fantasy VII will change forever when you realize that there is no enemy in the entire game that is immune to time magic. None. There are some where it can be difficult to get it to stick, like the final boss or the super bosses, the 2 super bosses that are in the whole game. But most enemies, you can take time magic and added effect and pair it in your weapon and go to town on enemies, and they are rendered helpless before you. Where most cases it will slow them down tremendously, and if you know me, I am all about like controlling the tempo of fights in those types of games, where I always try to be the fastest boy. I like to go for speed upgrades, and in lieu of speed upgrades, I will find ways to slow the enemy down. Because being faster is just better. It gives you more opportunities to do more stuff. Like, if you win harder. And if you're losing, it gives you more chances to bounce back. Being faster than your enemy is almost always better in almost any video game. Even when I played Fight for New York, I just tried to crank my speed up as fast as I possibly could. I took a martial arts guy, I went into versus mode, and I ran around a lot, just trying to get all the speed milestones. Or the one time ever when I played Call of Duty was with friends of like one party I went to, and I just loaded up on as much automatic weaponry as I possibly could and tried to get my firing rate up super duper high. But that was how I fought. That's how I fight. And in Final Fantasy VII, time magic is just insane. Slowing enemies down goes such a long way towards helping you dominate in any fight. And in the best case scenario, you'll stop an enemy outright. And even when the stop wears off, they will then be slowed after that. And there's just not really any way for them to shake it off. I don't think slow ever wears off. Ever. You have to cure it, and most enemies can't do it. And even when you're up against, like, the cream of the crop, absolute toughest enemies in the game, the final boss and the 2 super bosses, you can just use Hades, and that status effect will stick for sure. In fact, against Ruby Weapon, I'm pretty sure it's guaranteed to stop Ruby Weapon. And then after that, he's slowed down for the rest of the fight, and that's it. Like, time magic is what really spells doom for everyone. And I'm not even really sure why they made the game like that. Like, out of all the status effects in that game, why did they randomly pick slow to be like, this is the one that will work on everyone and just be insanely overpowered? And I mean, spoilers for later, when we play Final Fantasy VIII, but there's a status effect in that game that's like that too. Called Vite Zero. Really creative name, I know. But there's like a spell called Meltdown, and it has an effect where it drops the enemy's vitality stat to 0, and it just rips their defenses wide open. Where now all of a sudden most of your attacks will deal as much damage as they could possibly do, and I don't think there's a single enemy in the game that is immune to it. I think, again, it's like slow in FF7, where maybe there are a few enemies where it might not stick on the first try, but if you just keep going at it, eventually, like, it'll take. And it's just awesome. It's one of the few spells in that game that is worth casting, instead of just stockpiling infinitely for junction purposes. I was when I played FF10 too and fought Garrick, and Garrick gave himself every status. Man, I don't even remember what happened. Did we like confuse him or like reflect him or whatever? I had actually forgotten about that moment until he brought it up. I just remember the one time when we were up against this gauntlet of chimeras, and one of the last chimeras in the gauntlet, they would oversoul and they would just crush our business. And so we actually had to take like a little break and do some side quest stuff to try and level up. I still haven't really had the chance to play Final Fantasy X and check out all the Kamari tech that you were able to pull off. By the way, have you ever played the Final Fantasy X and X-2 remasters? I've always been trepidatious about it because I've always been critical of Final Fantasy X's post game. Where, and Final Fantasy XII has this problem too. It's a single player game with post game content that is designed like an MMO, with lots of grinding, lots of annoying minigames, lots of that. Yeah, cheese the game by going back to save point. Haven't played the remasters. I already didn't like the post game in FF10, and instead of making it less grind intensive, I feel like they actually made it more grind intensive by adding a bunch more super bosses. And the super bosses in Final Fantasy X were already ridiculous. My main criticism is that until you get your celestial weapons like fully operational, they are virtually impossible. And then once you do get your celestial weapons working, they're way too easy. Like, speaking as someone who has only like watched other people do it, because I'm not doing that stuff. I hate the Chocobo minigame. I hate the idea that the controls are bad on purpose. I hate Blitzball. I hate all that. There are only a few celestial weapons that I'm willing to like unlock all the way, and the only one that's really worth using is God Hand, because everybody says that Titus, Waka, and Riku, like coincidentally, the only three characters that can fight underwater, they're just the best overall. And they say that they're the ones where you want to get their celestial weapons, you want to get all their best overdrives, you want to actually like clock in some time with these characters to get them to be at their best. But I hate Blitzball. I hate the jank Chocobo racing. And I'm sorry if Chocobo racing in Final Fantasy VII just set the bar too high, but I mean, come on. It's just whack. I did actually find a video tutorial that is supposed to make the Chocobo racing like way easier. Apparently you're supposed to use the D-pad. But why's it gotta be like that? Riku's the only one where it was easy enough. You could just look at a walkthrough online and just go step by step, and it was easy enough to get that weapon to the max. But then they add the Dark Aeons, and they put the Dark Aeons in inconvenient places where you can't go back to certain locations without getting walloped. And then they add penance. And I know there's an exploit, like people have found out, like if you give Yojimbo this exact amount of money in this exact sequence, then he will always do Zanmato. Like, that's an option, but then, like, what's the point? What's the point if you're just gonna cheese your way through everything? Like, you're not even really engaging with the content. You're not trying to learn how to beat it in a cool or fun way. You're just trying to find a way to get it over with. Get past it. And it's like what are you even fighting for? Perfectly calculating, like, Yojimbo's behavior to where you always get Zanmato will never be as hype as just the one random Zanmato you get that you never expected that it totally blows an enemy encounter wide open, and it's hype. Although it never, I don't think it ever happened to me. Maybe I just don't know how to make Yojimbo do what he do. But I never once got a Zanmato. I don't think. If I did, I think I would have remembered. It's just like the one time ever when I played Pokemon and I got a shiny Pokemon and it was in the Safari Zone. Or I didn't get a shiny Pokemon. I ran into a shiny Pokemon. That's the one time I ever did it. And it showed up in the Safari Zone, and of course it ran away. That's like, oh, whatever. I'm not like some people where they will just like flip out when they see a shiny Pokemon and they absolutely gotta have it because it's super rare. Gotta get it. I mean, it was just a stupid like Bidoof or whatever. Like really like one of those dumb like dumpy like Pokemon like you don't even really care about. But then I don't really know if this was like a glitch or whatever, but I could have sworn that when I played Pokemon Platinum, like, and you look at the Hippowdon, the big like sand hippo, whatever, it seemed like every Hippowdon was shiny, all of them, everywhere, all the time, forever. Like, it was confusing. Like, am I getting something wrong? Is this a bug? Do I not remember what this Pokemon is actually supposed to look like? Because in all the art I've ever seen of that Pokemon, it's supposed to have like tan skin, you know, like sand. But then in that game, they were all black. It was weird. I didn't understand, and I'm still on the hunt for this one JonTron video. Like, if even the JonTron archives can't find them, like, that's wild. Come on, JonTron archive, don't fail me now. Some videos I can't find out why JonTron gets rid of them. Like his Smite video, that was freaking hilarious. Or this little promotion of Continue that he did. Continue is still doing its thing. They haven't changed at all. Their whole brand, almost exactly the same as when they started. And in a way, I kind of applaud that. It's like old Nicktoons or Boomerang. Like, I actually remember Rebel Taxi, you know, Pan Pizza, his video on Boomerang, and how he was tired of like seeing the same bumpers, you know, the groovies, the little music videos that Cartoon Network used to do. Like, he hated how the channel never changed, but I thought that was the best part of it. I thought that was the whole point, is that it's not supposed to change. And I have really fond memories of those channels as they were, because I it used to be that only my dad's mom had digital cable. She was like the first in the family to adopt digital cable, and she had all these TV channels that nobody else did, and among them were Boomerang and Nicktoons. And so when I would go to her house as a kid, it was like, or not really as a kid, but like as a teenager, it was like going back in time. It was a place I could go where nothing ever changed. It was the same town, same places, same stores, same house, same people, and the same TV. And I could just keep watching like Invader Zim and Megas XLR and Angry Beavers, Powerpuff Girls, Dexter's Lab. Like, none of that ever went away. And now I don't think I don't think Nicktoons is even around anymore. And Boomerang is just redundant, where they show like shows that haven't even been canceled yet. And now, like, now that you're here, Jaren, I need to turn down the volume on my phone. There we go. That's distracting. But yet, Boomerang as it is now, like, I can't even figure out why it exists. And it's stupid now. Like, they show ads. It used to be that they didn't have to show ads because they aired Boomerang on the cheap by just showing a bunch of reruns, and it was all automated. Like, you could have just kept doing that. I don't get it. I'm gonna try one more time. Try and figure out where this one JonTron clip was. Repetitive gameplay. That's what it was. Okay, let me turn up the volume on this and get it on screen.
Blindingly fast computers in the show Glee?
See it working. Is this not plugged in? Oh no, I've got the master volume turned all the way down.
People don't want to do boring stuff anymore.
And I've got it set. Accidentally have it at double speed because I was trying to find it.
Like you're an indentured servitude. In this age of cell phones, blindingly fast computers, and the show Glee, people don't want to do boring stuff anymore.
Oh my
Perhaps
gosh.
the times of the past, counting
This-
on your rosary was the best way to distract yourself from
Look at this
only
old
output. But in
editing.
modern times, we have toasters that cook eggs too, okay? We don't want to be bothered by repetitive gameplay and mind.
Wait, toasters the cook.
There's not
Hold
much
on
more
a second. How come this editing and this audio quality are in the past, but then he shows me something that comes from the future? A toaster that does eggs? I ain't seen that. I ain't seen that in Walmart. What?
Two for snapping
Whatever.
you back in your pathetic existence than hearing the words, "Go and bring me back 6 forest walrus hides, and I'll give you some gold," or some shit like that. This doesn't even strictly include games like RPGs. Try Devil May Cry. I mean, why does it take so many hits to kill these guys? Is that necessary? Is that fun? Was that good? Yeah, you like that? I see a good and gross.
So that's why it was hard to find. It's this one little, like, how long is that? Like 5-second clip where he complains about why bad guys take so many hits to take down, and then you look at him and he's just shooting at them with his basic firearms. And if you look at the like
hits to kill these guys.
Okay, I thought maybe that was just like at the very start of the game, but clearly he's had some upgrades here. Like, you see that his health bar is longer than what you start out with. But like, what he just didn't upgrade the firepower on Ebony and Ivory, and he just tries to take guys down by shooting them, and then he wonders why it takes so many hits. And this is like, I'm no stranger to this mindset either. Like, there are guys online where it feels like there's no winning with them. They complain about Devil May Cry 3 because you can just button mash. Like, you can get through the whole game with just your basic combo. You're never forced to actually master the combat. And I would love to do like a dumb Unga Bunga playthrough of Devil May Cry 3 where I just do the basic combo and see how far I can get. Like, see if that playstyle actually carries you or not. Because I suspect that it does not. I suspected these people were exaggerating, but they'll say, "Oh, it sucks because you're not forced to master the combat. You can just button mash." And by people, I mostly just mean Barry, like that famous like internet boogeyman who was like a diehard Final Fantasy 15 defender, and he would defend that game at the expense of all other video games. He would just find any excuse to compare other famous action games unfavorably to Final Fantasy 15. That, or like a hardcore reboot, like apologists / defenders who had a very obvious agenda, and they just categorically had a problem with people who liked like the real Devil May Cry, because of this perception that they're all just like nerds who are into anime or whatever. But they'll say things like this game sucks, like it's so basic, all the combat depth is superficial, you can get through it just by button mashing. But then they'll also say this combat is so boring or repetitive, you just do the same thing over and over again. And on top of that, they'll say something like, why do these enemies take so many hits to beat? Like, this is such a slog, it's so annoying. Like, you're intentionally choosing to play this game in the most boring, least stimulating way possible, where you actively ignore your combat options. And then you complain that combat is really slow and repetitive. I don't know. And I just think it's funny how JonTron will come out with a video like this, where he talks smack about Devil May Cry 3. Then he'll remove it, pretend like it doesn't exist, and then later he'll say that Devil May Cry 3 is awesome. And act like that's not a contradiction, act like he doesn't need to explain himself. Like, obviously this is a nitpick. I like JonTron's content generally, and I think JonTron era Game Grumps is peak. It's just little things like this where I get hung up, just because I guess I'm not a Devil May Cry fan, especially Devil May Cry 3. Man, what was I gonna say? I was gonna say, and this is another thing that JonTron does. If you ever watch the Starcade video where he makes fun of George Lucas for basically doing the same thing, he says, like mockingly imitating George Lucas, "The past never happened, I'm in control of my life." And then here you see that JonTron is kind of guilty of the same thing. You've seen far worse. What's the worst take that you've heard? Or like some of the worst takes that you've ever heard in the video game sphere? Bro, like, you struggle to even like figure out where they're coming from. Because there are some wild ones out there, I tell you what. Oh, can you hear that? Man, I just realized that I need to reschedule my haircut appointment. I mean, I was talking earlier about like workplace drama. Well, I mean, my schedule's a little different now, so that's a hell of a question. I know. Take your time, man, because that's big. I'm trying to think what some of the worst takes were, because you're probably not privy to this. Like, I don't think you know too much about Final Fantasy 15. Like, that is a very storied game with a lot of behind the scenes drama and like then it released and there was more drama, and then they kept like trickling out content for that, and there was even more drama. Just a huge drama factor in that game. And one of the factors that exacerbated the tensions in the Final Fantasy 15 scene was this one really infamous guy called Barry. I don't know how he got that name, but like I said, he was a guy. It's almost like at some point he had become so attached to Final Fantasy 15 that he sort of like it's almost like he derived a certain amount of like personal pride from Final Fantasy 15, and he couldn't let people talk smack about that game because otherwise it would hurt his pride. Like, he had stake in this game. For whatever reason, he needed people to think that Final Fantasy 15 was better than it was. And it's an okay game. It has its moments. It's an unpolished game more than anything. Like, it's very clear that it was mismanaged because it was in development for a long time. And then at some point, like the studio got fed up, and they're like, "Here's your deadline, like do it or lose it." That was pretty much the attitude, and so it was very much like it was very much a what's the game, Duke Nukem Forever situation. Or Thief in the Cobbler. I mean, I know that's not a video game, that's animation, but like the same principle. Like this thing that took a long time to make, and then it still comes out feeling rushed because the talent behind it was just so critically mismanaged. Yeah, since 2006. I'm not sure if this is like a Mandela effect or whatever. Maybe you can correct me on this. But I seem to remember Versus 13 being announced first, before any other like FF13 game, even before the original FF13. I remember them announcing Versus 13 first, and then every other game in the FF13 series came out after the fact. And then it wasn't until the series was over that they finally came out with Final Fantasy 15. I guess because it was clear from the beginning that it didn't really have anything to do with Final Fantasy 13. Like it was like a totally different story. The impression that I get is that the only reason they call it Versus 13 was because of the assumption that that Final Fantasy 13 would be a huge hit. And so if the game had 13 in the name, then it would automatically sell more. And then by the time when it was all said and done, they found out that it was quite the opposite. And people hated 13, and they were better off renaming the game. But about Barry, this was a guy who, and he really tried to start beef with not only like fans of other Final Fantasy games, but also Kingdom Hearts fans and Devil May Cry fans, because there was a lot of like those were the contemporaries for that game. Those were the rivals. Those were the obvious comparisons. And he tried to talk big about how all those games, they've got super basic, like, surface level combat. Final Fantasy 15's where it's at. That's where you get to pull off the big epic combos. And there was just no getting through to that guy. I remember, like, I just remember like actually getting in debates with that guy, and there was no getting through with him. He just had it so backwards. Like I said, Final Fantasy 15's not bad, but if I looked at Kingdom Hearts, Devil May Cry, and Final Fantasy 15, and I had to pick which one of those had the most shallow combat, it would be 15. That's a game where your melee attacks generally don't have like distinct function. Because in Devil May Cry 5 you have like your launchers that help lock enemies down or keep you off the ground for like defensive purposes, or you have like lunging attacks to close distances. You have crowd control attacks, and in Final Fantasy 15, like a whole, like, you can like flick the stick to get like some variations on your attacks, but functionally they felt very identical. That's how I felt about it anyway. And he would actually post these little like videos that he made, these little weapons of him doing crazy combos, and I look at it and I just think of stuff like, what are you doing? Like, what is the purpose? What are you trying to accomplish? You're just like needlessly complicating the situation. Just attack the guy straightforward, and not do all these goofy flippy doos and like dodging imaginary attacks. You're acting like there's so much going on, but there's not. Or he'll act like that game is like really difficult. He'll show videos of him getting whooped up on, and it just does not hold water when you're someone who's actually played that game, because the item spam in that game is ridiculous. This has probably been my biggest criticism of Final Fantasy 15, is it has a problem that Kingdom Hearts already fixed like many years prior. Kingdom Hearts came out in 2002, and it was like one and done. Like, this is it. This is how you do Final Fantasy with real-time action-oriented combat. Like, you did it, guys. And one of the most clever features of that game is the inventory. Where the way it works is you've got your main inventory, which has no limits. You can carry as many items as you want all the time, but you can only access it when you're not in combat. When you are in combat, you only have access to your combat inventory, which has limited slots. It's kind of like... It's like Resident Evil if you had access to the item box as long as there weren't zombies around. That's what it's like. All it is giving you access to that item box as long as there's no enemies, as long as there's no threats. It's just cutting out that extra trip that you have to make. And I think that's really clever. That's a way to stop players from cheesing their way through encounters. It's a way to make them think about how to prepare for battle. It's just, I don't know, it's really clever. And then you get to Final Fantasy 15 and it doesn't have that. Instead, you have access to your whole inventory at all times. And so you have access to your 99 potions, your 99 high potions, your 99 mega potions, your 99 X potions, your Phoenix Downs, your Mega Phoenixes, your elixirs, Mega elixirs, everything at all times. And so it's just like difficulty stopped being a factor. My big crash course in that was when I played Final Fantasy 15 and I just sort of bumbled into the big bad super dungeon. Where Dino, you know, one of your like side quest contacts, he's like, I'm trying to make a magic ring, but I need a diamond. You can find it from Castlemark Tower. But you can only get in there when the sun is down. And so I went there, and then I figured, hey, I might as well clear out this dungeon because, like, one of your other priorities in that game is trying to get all of the, like, ancient weapons, and this is one of the dungeons that has one of those weapons, so let me just go ahead and knock this out real quick. Because, like, there just was no reason to assume that it was anything other than a regular dungeon. There was no pomp and circumstance. There were no, like, rumors or legends or warnings that, oh man, Castlemark Tower is serious business. You want to go there, you'll get screwed all the way up. No, it's just regular place in the world, and so I went there, and it was an absolutely brutal gauntlet. I must have spent like an hour in that place, because not only are there a lot of really difficult enemies in there, but it's also like a weird maze with rules that aren't well explained. And I think I did that dungeon incorrectly like 3 or 4 times in a row, and every time you do, more and more bad guys spawn in, and they're bigger than they were before, to the point that when I screwed up the last time, like there was no empty space on the screen. That's what it was like. You think Muso games like Dynasty Warriors can get a little crowded? Like, think again. These were great big honkin' dudes who were like 40 feet tall, with 40-foot long swords, all crammed into this room. But you know what? I made it through. And why did I make it through? It wasn't because I played harder or smarter. It was because I just happened to have tons and tons of healing items that let me cheese my way through a super dungeon that I went into by accident. I don't consider that to be good game design. That just really screws it up. That's in between Final Fantasy VIII and Pokemon in terms of difficulty. Like, the one other game besides Pokemon that is easier than Final Fantasy VIII. That was bad. Like I say, that game has its moments, but then it also has those moments. And so it's just weird. It's weird seeing Barry, like, represent that game in such a disingenuous way, where he just pretends like the item spam doesn't exist. That was goofy. And I'm also critical of the quality of animation in that game. Because while it's really smooth and natural, it's almost a little too natural. Every time you see me do this, I'm messing with the fan. I don't remember exactly where he said it, but like the guy they hired to replace Tetsuya Nomura to direct Final Fantasy 15, he said at some point that he actually directed like the animators to disregard like conventional video game style telegraphing to create more natural animation. And that's tough. That's a tough call, because the more natural the animation became, the less natural the gameplay became. Because instead of just, reading your enemy's tells, you get attacks that seem to come out of nowhere with unclear properties. Like early on, the game teaches you you've got an auto dodge. You just hold down your little teleporty button, and then Noctis will automatically like use his little teleportal to just like get out of the way of like bad guy moves. But then they don't explain to you that there are moves that cannot be avoided in this way, and there's no real distinction. It's not like red moves and gold moves in Revengeance, where the difference is immediately obvious. It just kind of comes down to trial and error. And so that I thought that was really scuffed. And when it's not trial and error, it's only because they've got like a big obnoxious prompt. Like in lieu of actually clear like attack animations, they just have a big big square in the middle of the screen that says block or parry or whatever. Because they couldn't not that they couldn't, they chose not to communicate that in a more organic fashion. I mean, you never saw that in Devil May Cry. You never needed the game to tell you when an enemy is open to being blocked or parried. You just figure that out because the animations are made good. It's weird priorities. And yes, you would have to see it yourself because, like, trust me, I know I'm talking like major smack about Final Fantasy 15 right now, but I do mean it when I say that game has its moments. It does have some cool stuff to it. One thing that I do wish it had more of, though, was man, I still got a little sand in my eye. But I wish I'd have more original music, because the original music in it is really good, but it's also like reused a lot. A good game that could have been great but hampered by bad decisions, like, yeah, oh yeah, in a big way. Someday you and I will like get into the real nitty gritty of that, because like I said, that is a very storied game. There's so much to that it's hard to even get into all of it right now. Man, what was I gonna say? No, I was talking about the animation. Whatever. Man. What was this? Yeah, there's a... I'm getting like replies to like a comment I left on like a One Piece video. Seeing what... I'm also trying to think of other like bad video game takes. There was that one time I heard a guy say that he doesn't believe in the argument that there's no such thing. I'm getting all mixed up. He doesn't believe in the argument of it's a good game. It's just not a good X game. The only thing off the top of my head is the new Silent Hill 2 remake. What have you heard about it? Because, I mean, I'm privy to a little bit of the back and forth with regards to Angela's design. And I think I might have actually talked about it on a previous stream. I don't exactly remember. But, like, I remember her being redesigned and she just looked awful. And obviously it's not like I'm asking her to be, like, hypersexualized or anything. Like, I don't know, she just looked really average in the first game. She wasn't, like, overly ugly and overly pretty. She was just, like, really middle of the road, and, like, for whatever reason whoever designed her, they just didn't think that was good enough. They need to, like, make her extra frumpy on purpose. People have their gripes with Bloober Team, but I'm kind of watching from a distance. Didn't Bloober Team also do that janky Shadow of the Colossus remake? Let me look that up. No, that's Blue Point. I get those mixed up. Did I ever tell you about my experience with the remake? That was like a very give and take kind of affair. I mean, because I feel like in the effort to, like, increase the graphical fidelity of, like, these older games, they always resort to very obvious choices, whereas more nuanced details are kind of left on the wayside. Like, obviously, the remake has more polygons, it has more high-res textures and whatever, but then the shadows look kind of funky. Like, the lighting is better, but the shadows are worse, if that makes any sense. Like particle effects are better, but the game's not as good at evoking a sense of contrast. So it just, some scenarios, they just feel overly lit. Like, a lot of times in the old game, you literally had the feeling of being in the Shadow of the Colossus. And I just feel like that contrast is more important than, like, putting, like, fancy sun rays or whatever. It was something unique to the aesthetic of that game. And, I mean, obviously it's called Shadow of the Colossus, so the shadows are kind of important. Or the main character, he just looked kind of janky. He kind of looked like me. He had a bit of a fat face. He didn't look as rugged as he used to. He looked like more of a pretty boy. And, I mean, he was already kind of a pretty boy before, but, like, this time they went too far, I think. But my main gripe with the Shadow of the Colossus remakes is they added one new thing. One. It's these little shiny things that you find in the world that you pick up. And if you collect all, I think, 88 of them, then a secret room opens up and it gives you, like, a magic sword that finishes off a Colossus's weak points in a single blow. Which, you know, the sword looks cool. It didn't really have any, like, implications for the plot. It's just, like, a cool thing that they added. It didn't really bother me too much. I was looking at the back of his head most of the time. Okay. But Yeah, that's true. But the thing about these collectibles was that they had, I want to say, like a 1 in 4 chance of crashing the game. And that's really bad. Like, really, the one new thing that you added and you couldn't make sure that it worked. You couldn't make sure that it doesn't crash the game. And, like, this isn't would have loved a Secret Colossus boss fight, personally. Oh, absolutely. If you've ever seen the cut content or, like, development notes or whatever, Shadow of the Colossus was set up to be even crazier than it is today. Like Shadow of the Colossus is a classic, but daggone, if they had actually put the polish on like some of the other stuff they had planned, it would have been nuts. You wonder if they ever patched that? I doubt it, because I played the game, I think, about a year after it came out, and I was still having that problem. It's just no excuse. No excuse when you add one thing, you can't make sure that it works. You've fast forward a year later, they still don't work. And besides that, like the fancy new magic sword that you get, it looks cool, but that's really all that it is. It's just like a neat little cosmetic thing. Because with all the hoops that you gotta jump through in order to get that sword, like some of the collectibles are in super hard to reach places that require you to get certain items, and to get those items you have to complete certain challenges. Odds are great that by the time you get like the big epic sword that finishes off a weak point in a single blow, you've already gotten the other sword that already finishes off a weak point in a single blow. The Queen Sword that you get for completing all of the time trials on hard mode. Which I suppose is the one other like good thing that they did for the gameplay, because it used to be that there were hard rules on completing time attack or different difficulties. Like, you couldn't segue into hard mode or normal mode. It was just based on your save point or your save file. Whatever you picked when you fired up that save file, you were locked into that. This game is more flexible in that regard, but then they don't give you like more modern checkpoints, which really would have helped with the whole crashing the game thing, because it's the long ride on horseback to get to where I was when the game crashed. Even if I save profusely. Even if it's like me, where I'm like a Shadow of the Colossus veteran and I pretty much know where all the save points are. That's not a quick jaunt over to your neighbor's house. It takes a bit of time. Just to try and pick something up again, and you don't know whether or not the game's going to crash a second time. Which, thankfully, that did not happen. I did not get the 2-for-1. Once the game crashed once trying to pick something up, and then I went to pick it up again, it was okay. But, like, why? Why even in the first place did that happen? Devil Colossus? Now you're getting me in the mood where I want to kind of look that stuff up again. Or, I don't even think I need to look it up. I think I've got it on my computer, where there was like a thread somewhere that had a bunch of that stuff. Like, you know what? I should really like break into this. Because this is really good. I've got a whole bunch of like pictures like this I just realized that compare the two. Let me like this. This is what I mean. So, like, on the right, this is the original, this is the remake. See how there's more intense shading on this compared to this over here? Or like here, like there's no, like, this is like ancient ruins. There's no lighting or whatever. There's no like mysterious torches that are still lit after like thousands of years. So there's no light source other than the sun above you. So how come in the remake everything's lit evenly instead of in the original where there were more shadows? Or let's see what else we got. This is another one, and you probably know this, like you're privy to the whole Silent Hill situation, but transparency on PS2 is just tops. Like as graphics went forward, transparent textures were not as much of a priority, and so you get way better like fog and dust effects on the old game. Like now that, like over here to the left is the old game and this is the remaster. You can clearly tell based on the detail in these cliffs here. And this, I'm not even sure this is accurate. Because obviously this looks like crap, but when I played the PS4 version, it did not look this bad. Like I feel like this is not accurate. This must have been like an old build, or it was on performance mode or whatever. So don't trust this. I should delete this picture. Dante's hair on the PS2 version. Now you got me curious. I gotta check that out at some point. Oh, that looks so cool. Like this underwater shot. That's awesome. I love how murky that is. And this, again, I don't remember the fur effects looking that bad on the PS4 version. I'm not sure what's going on here. I think maybe they tweaked it or like patched it or whatever. But it looks better than this. Like I'll give credit where credit's due. The remake is not this bad where it looks like the Colossus has recently been in the dryer. There's also this picture here which like criticizes the more limited color palette that is sadly very common of more modern games. I definitely get this vibe. Like the original game was I wouldn't say it was vibrant, but definitely more vibrant than this. And I just like I do kind of associate Shadow of the Colossus with more of like an overcast sort of like aesthetic. But not this overcast where it's all just like all muddy and gray. Best example is the PS2 version of Mission 20 before you fight Virgil. Okay, let me take a break from this to see if I can like find a YouTube video that like showcases that. Let's see. What? Oh no. That's bad. That's wrong. Why is my stream using the wrong thumbnail? I thought I changed the thumbnail. Okay, let me try and tweak that and then see if I can... No, because this... It says it's using the right thumbnail. It's just being funny. It's being funny. But let's see if I can't, like, find a video that you were talking about. I'm gonna cry cutscene comparison. And unfortunately a lot of it is like comparing It's comparing the like pre-visualization of Devil May Cry 5 cutscenes to like the real version. Like 3. Come on, man. Devil May Cry 3. Cutscenes comparison?
I like those, man.
No. No. No, 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 no. There's a port analysis. Okay, maybe this is more what we're looking for. Yeah, you know what? I do kind of get that. I'm looking at kind of like more the wispiness that's going on here. And you can clearly tell that this is the old one because this texture is way more low res. Versus this where it's more like choppy and chunky. I do like that texture though. It's, I think in this case it's acceptable losses. You get close up with Dante's face as Virgil charges at him. You can see his eyes in the PS2, but not in the PS3 and other. Okay, well, let me see if I can specifically find that one. That might be a bit of a big ask, though. For and in the recommendations, I can see. I'm not sure if you've seen this, but this video, how the triple S rank changes your combos in Devil May Cry 3. I don't remember all the details of this, and I don't know if you know about this. I didn't know, but it like changes the length of your crazy combos. Where you basically get more bang for your buck out of these like big mashy moves. Which is really cool. It's neat how much detail that game has in it. Like, I went for the longest time without knowing that, like, elemental affinities were even a thing. But let's see if I can get back to the hunt for this, like, Mission 20 cutscene comparison. Mission 20. And no, and I can't even do the comparison myself anymore because I got rid of my PS2 versions a long time ago. I'm gonna have to. Well, I'll just look up the HD version and then Devil May Cry 3 cutscene PS2. Okay, this is from 15 years ago. Nope. Shush. Because I know exactly which shot you're talking about. It's like when the fight is wrapping up. Oh, but it doesn't show it in this. I'm pretty sure, yeah. No, I'm gonna have to keep looking. Okay, here's the old version. Although, like, the resolution isn't doing this any favors. Like, this is looking pretty muddy, no matter how you slice it. No pun intended, of course. Unless, did I skip it? Let me take it from, like, take it from the top. And then I'll just crank it up to double speed. I've got to be remembering, like, the wrong cutscene, because when Virgil says you're wasting time. Okay. Wait, is that the before the fight cutscene or the after the fight cutscene? I think that might be the before the fight cutscene. Yeah, right there. Okay. So that's what that looks like. And then let's try and pull up this one. HD, although even then, you know, it's so... Yeah, you're right. You're right. That particular shot doesn't hold up. Even with the crappy resolution, I can still tell. So that particular shot is weaker because of that. I think a little bit of the intention is lost. But this is more what I was talking about how the character looks a little goofier in Shadow of the Colossus. And I mean, like you said, you don't necessarily get too many shots, but if you want like a cinematic shot like me where you like to sweep the camera in front of the character and see the big Colossus looming behind you, like that's when you notice like character looking a little weird. He's looking a little more bug-eyed. And his clothes aren't as ragged. You know, it's weird. I don't really see the purpose of like upping the resolution and then using less detailed textures. This seems one of those. Here we go. This is one of the lost colossi with like a prototypical heads-up display, looking pretty scuffed, honestly. But they had plans for like this big ass spider enemy, and I believe the concept for this was there was no way to get up its legs. The only way to beat it would be to lure it into the water, where obviously it doesn't float. Its legs go all the way down to the bottom, and then you can swim to the top instead. And I think if you go to the Shadow of the Colossus wiki, they talk about the fact that this Colossus was actually so big and so odd in its proportions that, for one thing, they would need to craft special camera angles to make this work, because like when you're not manually controlling the camera, it will tend towards a more automatic, more cinematic camera to frame the action for you. but then because of the sort of the like the I don't know what you call it, like the damage engine, like the thing that makes how the game calculates damage. Because of the way it was designed, a direct hit from one of his legs would almost always be fatal, instantly fatal. I will say this, the final Colossus, when you scale him in the remake and you can see your shadow on top of his head with lightning, gives me chills. Yeah, that is cool. That Colossus kind of reminds me of Gilgamesh in Devil May Cry 5. Yeah, except I think this might actually be like way, way bigger. Well, like I said, they had to take it out because not only was the camera acting funny, but damage calculations meant that a direct hit from one of his legs would be almost instantly fatal. And like, not like that doesn't make sense, but it would. I imagine it had to be annoying. Like, I actually think it might have been even worse, where even a glancing blow would be fatal. Even if you're like me and you had like new game plus like plus 12, where you played the game over and over again and you like seriously maxed out all your stats. Like, I'm sure you probably remember, like, you played through Shadow of the Colossus and then I went ahead and fired up my file and you saw the health bar went all the way across the screen, and the stamina bar was so big that you couldn't even see it. Which, the stamina bar is another thing about the remake that, I don't know. I guess I really don't know how to feel about it. I remember the ring being very, the big ring being very distinctive, very iconic. In the remake, they designed it to be more like a traditional meter. And it's not like I can't see why they didn't do it. Or it's not like I can't see why they did it. It's just, I don't know, less distinct. But yeah, even with max stats, like, this thing could kill you super easy. And that was the story. And then there's this. This almost looks like some creepypasta stuff. You can see the spider looming in the distance. This is crazy. This is super cool looking. And yeah, I do kind of remember, like, old shots of the game had, like, craters where there was almost like you see this sort of like bowl-shaped like landscape that he's in. There's like a crater and there are like crazy wires. Like, there was weird, cool stuff going on. That was almost tending more towards science fiction. There was this thing. This is one that I think they cut. Well, they cut it for two reasons. One was that it was just too weird. This would be a Colossus that attacks you immediately after you fight the big flying worm-type enemy out in the desert. And that's so unlike every other Colossus encounter. The idea that you would have two in a row. And oh man, that would be so frustrating. I don't know if I ever told you this. The way that you feel about Colossus number 12 is the one I feel about number 13. Like, you hated the guy who would like trudge through the water and you had to kind of steer him over to the platforms by using the like magic controls on his crown. 13 always drove me nuts because I had a hard time, like, one, moving and shooting, and two, trying to close in on him and jump onto him while he's in motion. I think it was just by sheer chance that I was able to beat that Colossus in hard mode time attack. I don't even know how I did it. And that wasn't even the only Colossus that was like that. I don't think I could replicate my success with Colossus number 3. That's another one where I just sort of won and I don't know how. But this was a really weird one. It kind of broke the rules of Shadow of the Colossus. After you beat a Colossus, you're always supposed to, like, get the inky black tentacles that teleport you back to the Sanctuary. Or the Shrine of Worship, it's called. And this is the one time when that didn't happen, you would fight a second one. But the other thing they said was that the Colossus was actually so epic in scale that you would need to make use of almost the entire arena to avoid its massive attacks. 3 has a bit of a skip. I've never been able to pull it off. I know exactly which one you're talking about, where you hold on to his, like, club as he hoists up into the air, and he kind of, like, he, like, flips you up. If you, like, let go at the exact perfect moment, you, like, you exploit the physics engine, and you can just kind of easily land right on his head. But no, I've never been able to pull that off. I tell you what I have seen, though. I'm not sure if I still have the video, but I think I've seen a glitch where, like, the physics go absolutely nuts and this guy goes way higher than he's supposed to. I gotta check that out. Yeah, this is it. This is it. Hold on a sec. Get ready for this. Get ready, this is about to be good. This is Colossus number 4 in the remake. I believe I can fly. I believe I can touch the sky. Oh, holy crap. Oh. And that's it, man. Even Agro can't believe it. Oh my gosh, we gotta see that again. Oh boy. He goes so high that, like, the lighting freaks out. Do you see it, like all the fog and whatever blip out? Man. Alright, one more time. I don't even remember doing this, but that's probably because I've never tried to, like, climb its legs. Wow. Wow. Oh, man. Literally flew over the clouds. Yeah. Yeah, oh boy. Alright, let's, where? Oh, this is cool. Apparently this is supposed to be on top of the big spider, and it's so grand in scale that you can't even tell that you're on top of a living creature. It just looks like you're walking around on a landmark. Man. This would have been so cool to see. And if you've ever seen them, there's videos on YouTube of people going out of bounds and finding huge, absolutely titanic structures buried under the map. That gives some hints on what kind of content they have in store. Let's see. This is almost getting to, like, Kronos from God of War kind of stuff. I should have brought this Colossus back. That actually reminds me, I had a dream about, like, playing Shadow of the Colossus, and there was actually, like, an unlockable area that was just this huge, almost like a boss closet. It was like, if you went to this one specific area after beating the game, you could go down this huge, like, this huge valley, and on either side there were pathways into little environments where you could go into them and fight, like, these lost colossi. What else we got? We got the Phoenix. The idea for this one, I believe, was it was another one where you had to lure it into the water to try and cool off its body before you could try and climb it. Really cool looking. And then there's the worm again, which, like, I think maybe now you can see how crazy this creature actually was. You can see, like, the little statue it was supposed to have up here. You see that it had this huge base buried in the sand at the bottom of, like, a sand pit, which, that's nightmare fuel right there. Very, very uncanny creature. There's the big crater that I was talking about, and I think it was supposed to have like wires that let you go all the way up to this tower. And there's like your prototype wander, kind of looking like a male college student from the early teens with like I don't know what that is. Is that like a little bit of like facial hair right there, almost like what I got, and then he's got like a little man bun in the back or whatever. There's Rock, which is not the Phoenix. It's like part bird, part dragon, and really cool looking. Is that actually a weak point on its belly? You're supposed to get on the belly of this flying creature? That's hardcore. Or no, wait, no, I think... No, is it? It's hard to tell. If it's on the belly, if it's on the top. But I mean, that's a really radical creature design. See, is it a soul patch or is it I hesitate to even say it because this is the most disgusting name for facial hair that I've ever heard. Where it's like the strip. They call it the flavor saver. Like, here we go. This is like an overview of the different like discarded colossi. There was like the monkey. It was supposed to swing on like stalactites in like a cave. There's the rock. Apparently the rock also had like a big perch. There's the worm, which when fully extended is actually as tall as Malice. That's crazy. Although I think the actual biggest colossi in the game is Colossus number 13. Like, you don't get that impression because it's spread out all, like, long ways. But if you stood it up on its end, it would be, like, way bigger than Malice. There's the Phoenix. Yeah, more love. It looks a lot like the one that just kind of crawls on the walls. Devil, that's the one you were talking about. I think the bit was that it could, like, make wind with its wings. And he kind of had to, phalanx. I do not remember the names of the different colossi at all. Not unless they're right in front of me like they are like this. But Devil, I think it could make wings and you had to, like, stand behind stuff to avoid it. Devil's kind of tiny. Yeah, some of these are tiny. For colossi, anyway. I mean, even the smallest ones, the one you fight in, like, down in the little crag, and it's in, like, a fiery temple, it's, like, scared of fire. Or, Colossus number 14, I think it's called Cerberus. And you fight it in, like, the big, abandoned city. The, like, small but fast ones, someone, like, did a comparison. Even those are as big as elephants. But Sirius and Griffin, I think those were two of the roaming colossi ideas that they had. Where instead of having an arena, they would just be kind of like chilling out and you would have to look for them. "14 was your mom's favorite?" Well, I mean, it's a lot more like a classic platformer. I thought the design for that Colossus was really clever. It was a lot of fun. It's one of the ones that I replayed the most. That and Colossus number 5. I mean, not only is that that fight epic, but it also has my favorite track, A Despair-Filled Farewell. Like, pretty much anytime I hear that, like, you know, on my phone or when I'm playing it, I always got to do my own little acapella version. There's the devil. He's looking pretty cool. I like the green. I'm not clear on how you were supposed to get up on him. I guess the weak point is like... It's like somewhere on his head, like maybe the top of his head or whatever. But yeah, he's small. You can see here, there's a comparison. He's only like 3 wanders tall. And then this was a big thing. I think there was like some sort of data leak about like old prototype versions. And so you started to see these types of maps floating around that have a lot of familiar stuff. Like obviously this little area where you fight Colossus number 1, or up here where you fight Colossus number 3. You'll see stuff like that, but then you'll see really odd stuff that does not match up, like the big crater, or there's another area right here. I think that might actually be Colossus number 6, but then you see like this area, like what is this? Or you see there's a little path that goes up on top of this plateau, and there was supposed to be stuff up here. And like little landmarks all the way out here, and this gets your noggin jogging about what was actually in store, what they might have had planned. Like there's a little area out here, there's some like rocks and a little beach out here where there might have been an encounter. Just really gets you wondering about all the little possibilities. Even this area, like way up here, obviously this resolution is not great. I think I saved this from my phone and I kind of did myself a disservice there. But I think this is like a dam that is actually in the game. It's one of those landmarks that was buried under the map. This one's a little better. It looks to me like the design for the last area was very different. There's like someone drew like a little arrow there. I don't know what that's supposed to mean. This, like the old abandoned town, looks different. Okay, no, that's not. Wait, what? No, that's the old town because it has the little bridges. But then it looks like maybe there was supposed to be something beyond it. So that's cool. And there's another thing right here. Just so much. One thing I wish this game had is like a snowy environment. I think that was actually supposed to be planned in like a very old version of the game. Where like way back in the conceptual phase, it was supposed to actually be multiplayer and people would team up on these Colossi. Which would be awesome. I'd love to see a sequel to this, where it's just called Shadow of the Colossus 2, but it's not like it's not actually story related. It's just like a spiritual successor that's an actual successor, and they like reincorporate some of these old ideas, try and do them better. But usually when I play Shadow of the Colossus, I play it in like somewhere between November and January. It just feels like a very wintry game to me. Oh, there's this too. I think this is like proposed, like intended paths for players to take to these different areas. And now you can really see where some of this stuff was. I think this is supposed to be where like the devil was. And yeah, you can see there was supposed to be something out here, something over here, something on top of the plateau. That's nuts. I think under the plateau is where you fight the wall crawling thing. Knockoff Snow Colossus in Castlevania and Lords of Shadow. I've seen like little clips of that. But isn't that like way smaller? Like it doesn't have the same grandeur. Oh, and you can see here, like from this angle, this is like a proper like city. Like there are some big ass buildings over here. Let's see. Oh yeah, and I think there were like bits of code that helped people figure out where stuff is supposed to be. Like, oh, apparently Devil's supposed to be like way up here. And they're like prototype names like Colossus number 3. I forget what you called him, but like apparently he was called Knight. Turtle's supposed to be way over here? That's weird. Oh, and Spider is where Turtle is now. There's a shrine, there's a phoenix. Giraffe? Giraffe. A small colossus in a city? That makes me think, what if there were special colossi that you could only fight after you got the items? And they were designed with the items in mind. Because when you say small colossus in a city, that makes me think like getting on top of the buildings and then parachuting down. But then obviously the parachute is an optional item. Rock. I don't even know what that's supposed to be. Snake. Sirius. Gecko B. Naga. This is some crazy stuff. I'm glad I have this saved. And there's just a nice little size comparison of all the colossi. You can see now how absolutely massive Colossus number 13 is. And that's big. And Colossus number 2, even though it's only the second one, it's actually one of the biggest ones. And like, I gotta say, this is something neat about Shadow of the Colossus is they're able to continually increase the sense of scale without necessarily increasing the size. Because the obvious way to do this would be just make each Colossus bigger than the last one, and that's how you do it. But no. One of the first Colossi you fight, like number 2, was one of the biggest, but because it's so easy to climb, and it's so like really weak and ponderous, you don't get the feeling that it's very big. Because it's so easy to traverse. But smaller ones that are harder to traverse, like Colossus number 9, feel way bigger. Like way bigger. And it also helps that when you engage with Colossus number 9, that engagement takes place over a much wider area. Because he's got a long range attack. Which helps to make the Colossus feel even bigger than it was before. And you've got Colossus number 3, comes right after 2. It's not as big, but it's taller. And then every once in a while you've got these little ones just to kind of shake things up. And then you've got the 17th one over here, which, you know, spoilers if anyone watches this and they haven't seen it. I think the one place where it falters is Colossus number 4. I think that is my least favorite besides 13. Not for any particular reason, I just find it kind of boring. It doesn't really bring a lot to the table compared to other Colossi. It doesn't feel fresh or new. think the one quirk it has is it does express like a little bit of curiosity, because when you go down into the caves, it wants to look to see where you went, and that's kind of cute. But I don't know, it just doesn't leave that much of an impression on me. Like even the three Minotaurs, even though they are all very similar, I'd still get more of an impression from them. Like even Colossus number 6 does what Colossus number 4 does, but I think it's better. Hydra is kind of easy, but points for the labyrinth underneath. You know, this is an unfair comparison because obviously this game came out way better, but I think of like Devil May Cry 5, where Gilgamesh is stomping down and then his feet go through the floor into the place where V's at. It would have been nice to have a little bit more of that going on. Let's see if we got any more like fun stuff going on. This is just a bit of an animation comparison, showing how like the old one has more detail to it. Like there's more of a weight, there's more of a sense of desperation. You see it in the character's face and the way he carries himself. Especially the way his head like goes up and down very violently, whereas this one he keeps his head kind of steady. He seems a little too calm. Power of animation, man. I always think about Itsuno trying to be a creative advisor on the Devil May Cry reboot and trying to get them to understand the power of like ramping action, having some parts of the animation be fast and part of them being slow, and Ninja Theory just didn't get it. And to say get really crappy animations like Rainstorm or that really bad version of Rapid Slash. This is the exploit that you were talking about, by the way. Super cool if you can get it going, but I've never been able to do it myself. I like that. Again, like Devil May Cry fans, specifically Devil May Cry 4 fans, who are really in love with the physics of that game. They like the fact that that game has momentum. They love pulling off crazy stuff like that, because that's how you get like the weird guard flying stuff going. Here, oh boy. If you want to talk about like the massive difference in like quality of transparent textures, like this is it right here. See how the bridge on the left actually crumbles into dust, and this, it's all like just kind of chunky with like a little bit of dust. Like this looks awesome. It's actually crazy to think that the one on the left is the old game, because that looks amazing. The remake doesn't have the sword drawn. I mean, that's true, but I don't know. I just feel like there's more going on to that animation than just... It would be nice if, you know, the sword was drawn and you did get a more honest comparison, though. And this is another one basically to the same effect. And humorously, it has some random streamer in the top trying and failing to get on Phalanx's wings. But you see how awesome the sand is here, where it gets flung all over the place, whereas here it's very heavy and it just kind of stays on the ground. Which, in this particular case, I feel like in this particular case, it's a bit of a gameplay caveat. Like, even though the left looks better, I'm also now thinking of all the times when I was getting frustrated because I couldn't see what I was doing. So in that case, the one on the right is actually better, even though it's less realistic. Which, I mean, that's kind of been my my outlook on games in general. Is, you know, sometimes realism does have to take a back seat to providing just a more smooth and entertaining experience. So I wouldn't mind a caveat like that, you know. Okay, no, actually, this is it. This is actually what we were both looking for. This is more accurate, because in this he has his sword drawn. Like, see there's the original sword drawn running around from the same guy. There's the remake sword drawn running around from the same guy. And you see how there's more motion, more desperation. His face has visibly changed. I mean, yeah, the old one, he's got like his hand kind of clipping in, but like whatever. I'm not as much of a stickler for clipping as I think a lot of other people are. Like, it's just kind of part of gameplay. I mean, if I was really hung up on clipping, then I wouldn't be able to enjoy Beautiful Joe. That game has tons of clipping. Where Joe's big old scarf just cuts right through everything. More motion, more frantic. Frantic is the word for it, yeah. And then I have the same video saved twice. That's kind of silly. And then I can go ahead and close these. Well, he shows off that Wanderer is not a swordsman. He stole the blade. Yeah, that's true. Actually. Which is impressive. I'm sorry if sometimes I have a little bit of trouble reading the comments, because YouTube has this stupid little button that is in front of the text that cuts off a little bit of your comments, and I don't really know how to make it go away or move it or whatever. Unless, oh well, that was easy. It was just a little switch. The power of actually clicking on buttons. Let's see, no. Okay, you can close that. No. I think now I'm gonna try and, because this stream is actually like, every time I say that I want to do a short stream, it always goes way longer than I planned. But I think now I'm ready to crack into the new One Piece chapter real quick. So let me hit this real quick. You got to head out soon? Oh, that's actually great timing. So I'll talk to you later, man. It's great having you on stream. I'll soon see you in a few weeks, brother. I'll see you too, man. Now I can check out the there's actually something I forgot to check. Edit. Yes. You know, I said I was going to do a tier list, but you know what? Maybe since we've been talking about Shadow of the Colossus, I'll try and do like a Shadow of the Colossus tier list instead. So I'll pull those up and then we'll do that after the One Piece chapter. Well, let's see what we got here. We got Chapter 1126, Taking Responsibility. Yamato's chilling out. Local soba shop in Kuri reporting missing girls. Okay, so are we actually gonna like start to touch on what the plot of this is? And I don't know what sword Yamato's got next to her right now. But Oda says, just as I was feeling low about my favorite tonkotsu place not delivering, I found it. Another tonkotsu just as tasty. And no idea what tonkotsu is. I'll have to look that up later. See. Catching up with the Giants. It was a while after we left you guys at Water 7. We couldn't wait to see the captains again, so we went to Little Garden ourselves. So that's what happened. Anyone be curious after 100 years. When we got there, these two were still going at it barehanded. How come? Sometimes weapons just break. You think a punch is enough to take down these stubborn oafs? Da pa pa pa. Wait, who's laughing? That's a real problem when you're in a duel to the death. Whose laugh is that? I don't recognize that. In the end, they got us to go back to Elbaf with them. We had to arm ourselves again. You went for new weapons? So you're still fighting? Of course. I'm done. Come on, Nami. Didn't you learn a thing back on Little Garden? You tell her, Usopp. This is some strong booze. It's called absinthe, the green fairy. just straight up absinthe. It's not like a fictional thing. They're just serving absinthe. Isn't absinthe like kind of illegal? Careful, there's a chance it'll make you hallucinate. Is that actually true? I remember it's called the green fairy because apparently you can like light it on fire and it makes like a little green flame. It's supposed to be really cool. Is that Mountain Beard in the background? No way. Still around. I don't know why I assumed that he passed away. Let's see. Everybody's vibing. We finally got to reach it together. The horizon. Oh, and look at Kuma. Kuma's like kind of chill right now. That's neat. An incident occurred just over... Oh boy, here we go. Just over a month ago. Well, it says over a month ago, but it's not doing the thing where like the borders are all black. Indicating that it's a flashback, so I don't really know when we're supposed to be right now. Here at Gartle Island in the New World. Huh. Oh, it's the town that Bart messed with. Oh boy. The pirate, Bart entered Shanks' territory, burned the city's flag, blatant affront. Many crews, and sorry if I'm like speed reading, like I know these little catch-ups are for people who like aren't as in tune with One Piece as me, and they might need a little reminder, but I remember. Many crews and islands rely on my flag. If I just let this slide, people would lose faith in it. Oh boy. Oh no. Oh gosh and golly gee. Bart's in it deep now. And my friends and allies would become targets. You're absolutely right. Please forgive us. We weren't thinking. It was a foolish mistake. This is a deadly poison. See to it that Straw Hat Luffy takes this within a month. Wow. 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 Man, I mean, I figured Shanks has a ruthless side to him. Like he's a hardened criminal, but this is pretty dirty. This is messed up. What? It causes intense pain. Blood erupts from the victim until they finally die? We can overlook this if your boss takes responsibility. Are they messing with him? This is Luffy. Excuse me. There's no way we could do that to Luffy Senpai. Stop, boss. You're gonna die. It'll kill you and make your blood spurt out. They've got to be messing with him. There's no way. That's fine by me. Luffy Senpai never asked us to share that sake or take up his flag. I ain't gonna get him involved in my mess. His time is too precious to waste on someone like me. I'm good being just another scrub who got killed trying to show up an emperor. Aw man, I wish I could have seen Luffy Senpai become the king. Damn it all, I threw that chance away like an idiot. It's up to you guys now. Boss, see you around, guys. Yeah. They're messing with him. Wow, they just left us be. Let's get as far away as possible. It looks like that poison was a fake. It wouldn't have hurt Luffy Senpai at all. I thought the emperors were meant to be... Yeah, also I guess Bart doesn't know that like poisons generally don't work on Luffy. I thought the emperors were meant to be ruthless, so he was softer than I expected. And he still doesn't know, huh? Still doesn't know about Shanks and Luffy being chill. What are you smirking about? Isn't it hard not to smile? He's so dedicated to Luffy. Hey boss, mind stepping out of the way? We still gotta teach him a lesson. On this day, by Gartle Island, the Bardo Club pirate ship was sunk. It is unknown if there are any... Okay. Alrighty then. That's... So, my comments on the red hair pirates being kind of dirty. Not rescinded. Not rescinded. Vindicated, even. That's wild. And did Yasop do that all by himself? Man, that thing's a freaking hand cannon. Back on Hachinosu. How the hell did you let this happen, Pizarro? I haven't even been gone that long. It's not that simple, nya. Does the island have a black eye? Didn't you hear? The world is on the brink. The poneglyphs ain't an obscure secret anymore. We emperors are going to have to tear each other to pieces over them. You think the government and navy are just going to stand by? We ain't going to win unless we're ready. Kobe was our ace in the hole, and you're telling me he got away? I'm sorry, Teach. Just hear me. What the... Just hear me out. Oof. That was hard to parse. It ain't like I just let him scurry away. Where does this shop go? And you let Moria escape too? To the left. Watch your ass. Aw, Someone Wolf is kind of cute here. Commodore, we're ready for anything. Everyone knows you're the man who will claim the One Piece, Blackbeard. I thought he was just going to say, you're the man. The one who's going to take over the world. Oh, so, Blackbeard wants to be king of the world too, huh? Zehahaha. At least morale is on the rise. That's something we gotta take advantage of. Now let me hear it, Kuzan. Kobe got away, but, well, we caught Garp. Zehahaha. Now that's what I call a consolation prize. You keep finding a way to trade up, Captain. Yeah. Okay, I said he was kind of cute before, but seeing Someone Wolf loom in the background is a little eerie. To be honest, I was going for the kill, but he survived. You know what, Kuzan? Something tells me you're lying. Don't be hard on yourself, Kuzan. There ain't many who can take him down, you know. Well, it was a team effort. Looks like the winds of fortune are favoring us. Ha ha ha. Oh, let me score a drink right here. My backup drink. We also snagged this three-eyed girlie here. Hey, get Lafitte on the line. Oh, what's Lafitte gonna do? Is he gonna try and like hypnotize her or something? Maybe. Yumit shipping. Wow, I did not expect to get back in touch with Yumit. Yes, Commander Teach? What are those revolutionaries up to? Seems like their siege is proving effective, and the Red Port's gondolas keep breaking down whenever they try to load them with food. All supply shipments from foreign nations have been halted too. Even when the Navy manages to secure food, they can't stop the sabotage gondolas from crashing. The Celestial Dragons may really start to starve at this rate. It's all quite unprecedented, really, not to mention engaging. Zehahaha. This ain't the time to sit back and watch. Get ready. Understood. Back at Pirate Island. Pizarro, we have arrived. It's Devon. Okay, are we gonna see? Because I thought the plan was that, like, Devon touched Saturn to try and, like, copy his appearance or something. I figured it would be, like, a Bon Clay situation. But now that Saturn's gone, how's it gonna play out? Pick us up. Docking you guys is always such a pain, yeah. You know I'm injured, right? Yeah. Oh, hell nah. It's a monster. Don't take me. Big bro, big sis, save me. Quit jabbering. You brought that guy, didn't you? Uh-huh. It's been 2 days since the giant warrior pirates set off from Egghead. However, even with the sailing speed of the great Aeric, you have yet to arrive at Elbaf. What's going on? Did we all pass out drunk? What could have caused this? Where's the Sunny gone? I can't see it. What? The Sunny's gone. What? We've got to find them. We can't head to Elbaf like this. Maybe they were swallowed by a fish. Quit it. The fish here are massive. That just might be true. Luffy, where did you go? So, what, are we already at the stage where we're like parting ways? We haven't even made it to the island yet, and we're already getting broken up? We haven't seen it yet. Nami, hey, wake up. Ugh, I must have had too much to drink. Huh? Where is this foreboding place? Well, I mean, Nami's really dressed up Viking-like, so... Is this like a Lego house? Look at the floor. And all the little, like, notches and whatever. Well, I got nothing. I have no idea where this is going. Nami's dressed like a Viking, but she's not in Elbaf. She's in like a toy. Unless this is like toys that giants play with. That's got to be what it is. Legos for giants are like regular people building blocks. For like Lego bricks for giants are like real bricks for people. That's what I'm trying to say. That's got to be what this is. But then how did they show up at Elbaf first? Oh man, oh man. This arc is not starting out the way I thought it would. I mean, this chapter was alright. It was mostly just catching up with different characters. It felt like it was a lot about stuff that we already kind of knew, except now we've got a proper follow-up on what happened between Bart and Shanks, and it did not go well. Notice, however, that I know translations aren't always reliable, especially when it comes to details, but notice how it says that the Bartow Club pirate ship was sunk. It doesn't say that they were defeated. It doesn't say that they were annihilated or destroyed. As far as I can tell, Bart's the only devil fruit eater, so it's entirely possible that, like, someone can save him and swim him to safety. I don't know if all the members are going to survive. But, man, this is, if word ever got back to Luffy on what happened, I wonder what would happen. Like, this is a rare case where two of his friends are now enemies. Whose side is he going to take? But I figure the last thing we can do before closing up is do just like a little bitty... Alright, hold on a second. Because I gotta... The website's going crazy with stupid pop-ups. Just talking about the Falcons and Eagles games. Or game, I should say. Let me, like... Can I just blow this up to make all the stupid ads go away? Oh, and this is the wrong one. We're looking for this one, and they're not even in the right order. They're all goofy, and you know the first order. We gotta tweak these. First off, just go ahead and get rid of like we only need 5. Like, there really aren't that many, so I'm just gonna go and rate them like 1 to 5. So, and you know, blue's got to be on top. Blue's my favorite color. There we go. And what happened? Don't flip out on me, okay? S plus S. A. B. And then C. Because pretty much all the Colossi are cool in their own way. But let's try and figure out which one. Why are they all out of order? This is the first one. Colossus number 1. And it's a neat little tutorial. Obviously, he's really small. I don't see him use his club a lot, though. But he's supposed to be, like, really easy. He's got the big fat platforms on his back. He's pretty iconic. I think he's the first Colossus a lot of people think of which is fitting because he is the first Colossus. So, I mean, I'll give him an A. B, or Colossus number 2, I'll do the same for him. I gotta admit, as a child playing Shadow of the Colossus for the first time, I had more of a problem with that Colossus than I really should have. Like, the solution to that should have been easy, should have been obvious, but whatever. I mean, it's okay. Not really that special, although it is the first time you hear, like, the big Shadow of the Colossus theme song, which I forget what it's called. I have it on my phone. It's called, no, not Van Halen. I've been listening to some Van Halen lately. It's called, The Open Way. That's the first time you hear The Open Way, so it is special in that regard. And then there's this guy, the Colossus number 3. I forget what he's called, but I mean, it's tough. I can't really decide how to feel about him. He's really cool, another really iconic design, but I remember being so frustrated with him because beating this guy actually takes some applied physics. Because you're supposed to be able to infer that you need to get him to whack his big club on the portion in the middle of his, like, little battle arena that's made out of, like, stone or metal or whatever, and that will cause shockwaves in his body that knock some of his armor loose to open up the way to, like, move to his head. And that, I feel, is maybe a little too obscure for a lot of people to pick up on. I had to look it up. Colossus number 4, I was talking about him earlier this stream. I don't find him to be very special. He has a curious nature, but other than that, he just seems really boring. He doesn't bring a lot to the table. I'm much more of a Colossus number 5 dude. This is the big bird, and he's going all the way up. He's flying his way on up to, from down here, all the way flapping his wings to S+, where he belongs, because a Despair-Filled Farewell is an epic score. This fight is epic. I love flying through the mist on this guy's back, hanging onto his wings when he does crazy barrel rolls through the sky. Just the exhilaration that you feel when he first swoops down to try and get you, and you latch onto them, and then you take off into the air. That's awesome. Absolutely iconic moment. Now I gotta try and lock in on what the... Okay, I think this is Colossus number 6. It's hard to tell from, like, the crappy images, but Colossus number 6 is fun but kind of clunky, because if you don't get up the, like, the whole setup is that you're in this big arena with, like, walls that you have to vault over to get to the opposite end where it's safe, and then from there you plan your attack. If you don't do it fast enough, if you don't get it perfect, you've got a high likelihood of getting pulverized by this guy. He's got a cool design. I like his big beard, but that particular part of the fight works kind of janky. So I don't know. It's also kind of janky in the sense that once you're on him and he starts kind of, like, meandering around the environment, if he gets too close to the walls, the camera can get kind of funky. Number 7, this guy, I'm not really a huge fan of him. I mean, he's got cool lightning powers, but trying to get his attention, I've never really quite latched on to how you're supposed to do it. It seems like you're just kind of supposed to thrash around and eventually he'll notice you. Like, getting confirmation on, like, hitting his weak points, sometimes it doesn't quite work and you take a pounding. It's also annoying how when it takes so long to get his attention, they decide to have a part where he just dives way, way down to where you can't hold on to him anymore, and you gotta start over from scratch. It's really annoying. The number 8, the big wall crawler Colossus, is a blast though. He's got a cool ranged attack. The way he moves is cool. And he's just a blast, really. Like, and it's cool knocking him off the walls. It's cool learning all his little quirks. He's got a lot going on, but not too much. And once you learn how to beat him, you can actually beat him super fast. Colossus number 9. Fun, but frustrating. I'm kind of tempted to put him in the S tier as well. He's almost too annoying. The way that he keeps you on the run, but then it's also really cool. The way this huge Colossus is shooting like laser bolts at you. And it's this long-range engagement that you're not used to. And the only issue is trying to serpentine and look out for his projectiles, but also lure him over to one of the geysers to get the gimmick to work. And the other issue is once you latch onto him, you've got a really limited window of opportunity to hoist yourself up to the other side before he rights himself. Because once you do, like, there's nothing you can do. There's no way you can get up. I've only ever had one time, though, where that was an issue. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave him an S rank. I think this is number 10, the Sandworm. I had such a hard time with this guy, but only because I was just being kind of goofy. And I wasn't really understanding the controls. You can hold down a button to automatically turn yourself to face the Colossus, but once you do, you have to let go of that button. Like once you're facing the Colossus, if you keep holding the button, like your aim is just way too unstable because the game is fighting you for control. You have to tell the game to stop trying to aim for you once you've gotten turned around, and then once you do that, it works perfectly. But that's a very unique and awesome encounter. It's the only Colossus that is big and also moves fast. Really fast. Like, you actually need your horse for this fight. It really switches things up. It's the only Colossus where you can wound its eyes. Like, it has a special weak point, unlike any other. It has a unique track that plays. It's just, I don't know, a lot of fun. 11, not the biggest fan of this one though, because it can stun lock you. If it nails you really bad, then it gets you in a stun state long enough that it can wail on you again and again and again. And if it doesn't accidentally knock you into a safe spot, you're just kind of screwed. You'll get the life very slowly beaten out of you, and that's really frustrating. There's another Colossus on this list that we'll come up to real soon that is basically the same thing but better. Colossus number 12, I think this is called Poseidon. This is very... No, not B tier. I think I'm going to go ahead and put that in A. This is very divisive. Like Jared and I have very different opinions on this guy. He hated it because he didn't like the way he controlled. I thought he's cool. He's kind of janky, but not so janky that he doesn't work. The one thing that annoyed me is that once you get on his weak point, you gotta really be quick about hammering about hammering it down, because otherwise it gets a lot harder. He'll start wiping out the high grounds, and once he does that, like, if you haven't gotten him down on the second try, it's just gonna take so much longer to get the fight going and try to wrap it up. 13 is the one that I'm gonna put in C tier. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people love this Colossus. It's very iconic. It's got a cool design. It's the only one with 3 eyes, but it is so slow. Trying to pursue this guy on horseback, trying to hit his weak points. Yeah. Then you're able to reach him. Then you gotta like awkwardly maneuver and try and intercept him to where you can get on top of him. And then he tries to like get you off of the barrel roll. And it seems like every time when you're just about to wrap things up, that's when he dives back down into the sand and you gotta do the whole thing all over again, and it's very slow and it's just ugh. 14 is so much more fun. I'm honestly kind of tempted to jack him all the way up to S+. Yeah, he's S+. He's awesome. I like how his level kind of plays out like a classic like platformer. That's a lot neat. The only catch is when you get to the end of the fight. And you gotta lure him into like knocking all the big rocks on top of himself. If you're not quick about getting out of the way, you wind up in the rubble with him. You get stunned for a while, you lose out on like your big opportunity to attack. And if he catches up to you, it can be hard to get back up to high ground before he starts stun locking you. But he's still way better than number 11. Number 15 is I don't know how to feel about this guy. I don't know. I guess he's just not very special. Like, he's another big guy. He's got like a gimmick where his weak point is on his hand, so you gotta get him to drop his weapon. He does have a really cool track, and he does feel really big too. But I just don't feel like he has enough going on. He's just another Minotaur. And also the website is freaking out. It doesn't want to go for whatever reason. Not sure what's up with that. Or no, I think that was actually my browser. And then finally the last guy. A little tedious getting up to him the first time, but after that it's not so bad. My real problem is that if you don't nail those evasive rolls behind, the big barricades, like the blast shields, then like all bets are off. You'll get knocked to some faraway place and you're not going to know what to do. You're not even going to know where you are. Next thing that's probably going to happen is you're probably going to get hit again and again and again. And there's also like one kind of tricky jump that you got to do where you got to like, you're on the outskirts of the battlefield and you got to go around this ledge and then jump. But it's designed kind of bad to where like when you jump, you actually jump too far and you get on top of the ledge and then you immediately go into like a reeling animation where you're going backwards and you're about to fall off. Sometimes you can catch yourselves, sometimes it feels like you can't. And then there's the 17th one. I don't even know why this is here. I guess it's just cool, so I mean, he's cool, but he controls crappy. And I guess he's kind of supposed to control crappy, but I don't feel like the big world-ending vibe from this guy. He's just kind of whatever. But there's the tier list. It's 4:30 now, and I kind of got other things I want to do, so I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap up the stream here. But that was cool. It was nice having Jaren here. Nice talking with him. Talking game design, talking Shadow of the Colossus. Surprisingly, I didn't see that coming. And like talking Final Fantasy 15, talking all that good stuff. And it's really cool. It's why I'd love to get him on the show for real. is just having more nerdy talk like this. But I mean, he's a really busy guy. So I don't want to pull him away from what he's doing. Maybe after we get monetized, and then that will be a bit more of an incentive for him, because I don't want to just. I don't want to like pull him away from his important work to do something for me for free. I want to be able to compensate him for helping me with my ambition, if you will. So if you want to leave a comment, talk about maybe your favorite Colossus, or talk about bad video game takes that you've heard before. If you want to talk about, Concord or the Lollipop Chainsaw situation, censorship in gaming, we've covered a lot of territory in this one stream, but I'd love to hear comments from you guys. If you could like the stream, that'd be awesome. Subscription, even better. Anything to help propel the channel forward to bigger and better things, because I've got a lot of big ideas. More painting streams, more One Piece contents, moving on to like movie reviews, like to do more gaming, all that kind of thing. But until then, y'all have a good day, and I'll see you all later.